should be alright. Looking good. Alright. What a week it has been. Just need to make sure my stream is actually getting through. There it is. Yeah, man, what a week it has been. So, as a quick introduction for the people not aware of what has happened the past week, actually, let me just quickly change an option. I think it's in sound. Play sound when game window is background. Yes, because otherwise we'll just lose all the background music. For a quick summary of what happened last week, we got the start of dev blogs and a very big leak. So let's just get that up and let's go to the model leaks. It's yeah. We've got a lot of top tier battleships leaked, this one specifically being a 44 Richelieu with American AA. We got a full Bismarck model. We got Gneisenau 38, which by this time we know is a pack premium. We got an Iowa class battleship in full on, you know, all its glory. We got the Roma. We got Sevastopol, which we also know is now a premium. We've got Sovietsky Soyuz in the files. We've got Yamato in the files. It's that's the wrong one. That's the right one. It's just it's something, isn't it? So with all of the top tier battleships basically being found in the files, I'm going to try and grind all of my top tier nations just so I'm able to get these battleships when the dev server rolls around. To that matter, America is ready to go. Britain is practically ready to go. I'm assuming Vanguard will come after Hood. The problem is, I don't know how the ranks will be redivided, and if I'll actually need Warspite to actually get to rank 7. Japan is ready to go. Germany, I am working like mad to get Sachsen. Italy, I think I'll be in the same problem where I actually need Conte de Cavour to actually test sell Roma. Because I believe Roma will come after Duilio. For France, which will be my target today, I just need to get Dunkirk just to cover my bases. And yeah, Russia, not gonna get there in time. Very good point, Scout. That's correct. Rank 6 and all other previous ranks should actually see a reduction in RP cost. Sadly, not for Coastal, for as far as I know, but Blue Water, sure. But yeah, I'm just preparing so I can test sail everything on the dev server. Then actually, now that you mention it, with all the RP costs, I might actually not have to fully get Sachsen. But yeah, anyways, I'm ready for America and Japan 100%. Britain I'm probably ready for, but then Germany close to, but Russia and France. So today I'm thinking of just doing French battleships, getting as much out of them as possible, and I'll see where I'll get. To this end, we'll activate a booster, and we'll just jump straight into it. Oh, I know, it's so weird. I don't really understand the weird reaction to the rank 6 premiums. Because the second we got the Vanguard dev blog, we knew with the Vanguard dev blog mentioned rank 7 for naval, so that should immediately have told people it will be rank 6 premiums. That's just how Gaijin rolls when they add a new rank.
Préparez le navire au combat. Moteur, pleine puissance.
That usually is the case. But yeah. It's going to be a... I got told these leaks on Wednesday, and I still can't fully comprehend it. Seeing all of these end-of-the-line battleships in the files at one time is mad. And if we actually do get all of them in one update, the rest of the year is going to be very interesting. Because my general opinion is that this update is the end of the line for battleships. But it's not going to break the game, really, because at the end of the day, it is still battleships. It's still going to be battleship gameplay, hopefully, with much needed decompression. But I'm not going to bet on it. But for me, personally, I'm actually much more interested now in the other 3 updates this year. The one in September, November and December are going to be incredibly interesting and very unpredictable for Naval, I have a feeling. Oh yeah, of course, we can always spin the roulette wheel of the damage model changes and other naval changes. But at the end of the day, it is still battleships. That's also the feeling I've been having, Derek, is that this feels like the biggest naval update since New Power. And that's saying a lot, because we got France since New Power. Yeah, I'm hyped. I'm very much hyped for this next update. I will say, yeah, $80 is a bit... It's not great. I had to really have a long, hard discussion of myself whether or not those packs would be worth it for me to get. And I've come to the conclusion that they just aren't. They flat out are not worth it. For me. But at the same time, you could have kind of predicted that they were going to be €80/$ packs, because Yamashiro and Iron Duke were €70 packs. It's very much an exciting update next one. Just missing all my shots. What is that sound heading my way? Don't tell me it's the Colorado. I mean, understandable, but there's nothing stopping us from getting the SDs in September or November. Yeah, I'm still perplexed at genuinely seeing all of the end-of-the-line battleships. All of them, for all the nations. Arguably, H39 is the end of the line for Germany, but still. It's a wild sight. Cringe. It has been 5 years since we got Dreadnoughts. It is overwhelming and it does feel very strange. But the thing is, we are at that stage where we're getting the end of the era of battleships. Arguably, we're like 1 generation shy. I think a more logical introduction would have been Bismarck, Roma, Richelieu, and then like KGV and then an update or two down the line, Iowa, Yamato, and Sovietsky Soyuz. But that's just how it is. Because as I say, I don't think it actually changes the game all that much. Because at the end of the day, it's still battleships. It's still going to be battleship gameplay. Having a great time here. Again, I am playing French Dreadnoughts, I should have expected as much. He's actually shooting me. Is it the Yamashiro? It's all of them, really. Shooting me. Okay, that fired itself out. Lovely. Montana is incredibly, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's contested whether or not it actually ever got its keel laid down. To my knowledge, it actually didn't. But I don't know that much on that front. Yeah, exactly. We don't know whether or not these rank 7s will bring with it comprehensive PR changes. Or will it just be 7-3? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to remember what like the major naval changes were in the past 5 years when it comes to major updates. And other than UI changes and obviously damage mechanic changes, there aren't all that many that pop to mind. Of course, we got the introduction of 15-inch guns, we got the introduction of 16-inch guns, but the introduction of 16-inch guns was actually fairly recent. So, but at the same time, the introduction of 16-inch guns is one of the last steps for battleships. Because many nations don't have 16-inch battleships, and for other nations that is just their biggest caliber. So really we either way, this is definitely earlier than I expected to see these ships. I would have given it until the November update to see this end-of-the-line stuff. And at the same time, it might be November until we see the end-of-the-line stuff. Just because they're in the files doesn't mean they're coming direct with this update. It's likely, but it doesn't necessarily mean it. Also, I have just been getting annihilated because reasons. Oh, just give it a kill. Get out of it. Yeah. And there's one over there. And hopefully have something to shoot at, which isn't a 7-0 battleship. And I didn't actually change my ammo loads. Of course, the other way I could grind for Dunkirk is just by playing Strasbourg, but I kinda just want to get these battleships out of the way. That's kind of a double-edged sword at the moment, is that either I grind these battleships now, just so I can get the end-of-the-line ones immediately for the dev server, because that's what I want to do. Ideally, I want to be able to test sail them on the dev server, which I think will be next week. But on the other hand, a lot of these battleships are probably going to get a lot cheaper and maybe have better matchmaking with the naval decompression.
Attack the enemy! Let's keep the pressure on. Victory is close.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely see Bismarck being added. My doubts are on Iowa, Sovietsky Soyuz, and Yamato, but at the same time, if we're not getting Sovietsky Soyuz, we wouldn't be getting Sevastopol. Because Sevastopol will arguably be the best, well, if we don't get Soyuz, will be one of the best battle cruisers for the Russian tech fleet. You could argue it's like a side grade towards, compared to Kronstadt itself, because it is still fairly low armor. But I think if we don't get Soyuz this update, Sevastopol will be a very solid ship for that lineup. It is weird that I actually haven't seen that much buzz about the naval leaks outside of the naval community. I do find it a little bit weird. Because you have so many people that I've run across that say, oh, if they add Iowa, oh, if they add Yamato, if they add Bismarck, I'll play naval. And I haven't seen those people again. Well, despite these leaks, I haven't seen those people. I mean, of course, not everybody keeps up to date with all the leaks, but still. I think I might actually abandon these French battleships and play something else. Depends on the kinds of matches we'll keep getting.
Let's keep the pressure on. Victory is close.
It's, I don't know, man. You know what didn't help? I don't know if any of you saw this forum post, but there was this, what was it called again? Like a deep dive into statistics, where somebody took a deep dive into StatShark statistics, and they said that 1% of the player base plays naval. Yeah, that's not going to do any good, is it? Towards the reputation of naval. And part of me wants to think though that it is still it's StatShark, it's not official stats, so you have to take them with a grain of salt. Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? But I will say, despite only being quote-unquote 1% of the player base, healthy enough. You know what I think about the people that want to play naval just because of the shiny new toys? The quote-unquote issues with naval, right, is a personal thing. That might be a hot take, but I don't have any issues with it. There are definitely things that could be better, but I have yet to run into anything so horrible that makes me not want to play this game. Yes, getting spawn camped in a 7-kilometer spawn-to-spawn map when you're playing 6.0 cruisers in a 7.0 match is absolutely atrocious. But yeah, I've played it, I've done it, I've gotten through it. The EC discussion, I would say it was actually fairly well run. It was interesting to listen to. I actually agree with most of the things that came up in it. For those that weren't aware, Gunship, the squadron leader of Navy, invited me and Commander Teriel to a little discussion about Naval EC and what people would like to see changed about it, what they think is what they'd like to see happen to it. I thought some interesting points came up. It is a bit wishlisty, and I don't think the conversation is going to do too much, but still, it was interesting listening to. It was also held quite civilly. I'll probably be part of more of those, although I don't know how to integrate that with my channel. I don't know about that. Again, I don't play EC because of how flawed of a game it is in my eyes. But yeah, Navy has been playing a lot of EC in very large groups. So yeah, that might be the case. But the thing is that is not how this game works. The people fixing the issues are not the same people adding ships. That is not how it works. And the thing is, what are the issues? Because the last time somebody tried to represent the entirety of the naval community, that little document went down in flames. It is a very hard thing to describe all the issues, because they're not an issue for everybody. I will say map design is an issue. That is definitely an issue. But the thing is, you have to know where that issue comes from and understand why it's an issue. So, on map design, right? To my knowledge, the main reason why map design is as problematic as it is because most of the maps we have in game just were not designed for anything bigger than a destroyer. Because naval, of its own, originally, was not designed for anything bigger than a destroyer. And we just have not been getting a whole lot of new naval maps. But the ones we have been getting usually are actually pretty decent for both blue water and coastal. It's just that we're not getting many of them. I'd have to find that little document I made semi-recently. So let's go to... because I actually wrote down from what update all of our naval maps came from. I just have to find it again. And maybe shoot at some ships. Somehow we're winning this battle, I'm fine as that, but I've gotten absolutely nothing done. Except for kill stealing like a cruise or something like that. Yeah, the circle maps are definitely not great. But yeah, where is this? Is this chronologically? It isn't. Really to make it chronological at some point. I don't play AB either, but I have heard it's just better. I don't think they are, as I'm currently playing one. I think for battleships, especially the high tier ones, circle maps are fine. The problem is, they're fine if you don't get them for 2 hours straight. And I also think the ones with absolutely zero cover, not great. We'll look into the maps later. But let's just see. So here it is chronologically. So update new power was update 2.01, right? Since new power, so since getting battleships, we got 5 new maps. Right? And only one of them is actually in battleship BRs. And that was because it has a gimmick and actually isn't designed for battleships either. So if we go over all of the maps, because we're talking about it anyways. In chronological order, we have Black Sea Port. This is one of our first maps in games. So this was also designed, you know, no bigger than destroyers. I actually think Black Sea Port works for battleships largely, although it's a little bit difficult to get into the middle of the map. But I do think it actually somewhat works for battleships, despite having disliked it. We have African Gulf. Again, a map designed for nothing bigger than destroyers. Battleships can see it. Although it says battleships cannot see it, battleships can definitely get on African Gulf. It's not great because it's just 7 kilometers spawn to spawn shooting. Torpedoes usually get spammed down it. But again, it's a map design that wasn't designed with anything bigger than destroyers in mind. Same goes for Arabian Sea, but this is a map you generally don't see with anything bigger than destroyers. So, works perfectly fine. We have Fiji, which you can see up until 6.0. Doesn't work with 6.0, is designed for destroyers and nothing bigger. It works for that, nothing else. We have Northport. I actually really like Northport. You can't see it with battleships apparently, but I could have sworn I have actually played it on battleships. The cruiser spawn is a bit awkward, especially for the south side, but this is a decent map, I'd say. Definitely favors one side more than the other, but oh well. We have Ireland Bay. Also, I think, great map. It's a bit awkward for destroyers. You can only really see it with destroyers. I have never seen this map with a cruiser, but apparently you can. Haven't seen it. We go to Mediterranean. This. Yeah, this is probably one of the problem maps as well, especially the encounter version, because you have so much map and so little that's actually valuable. I actually like this map for cruisers and below, because you, especially the cap one, because you can just spawn in, get behind the islands, and do your work from there. The encounter one, where you just spawn all the way around along this flank, where you can't choose how close to the islands you are, terrible. But again, not intrinsically designed for battleships. It's an old map. Mediterranean Port is one of the original maps. So again, before battleships were even a consideration. We go to North Sea. This one. Also, I'd say, pretty good map for that BR range. It is a fun map for destroyers. I want to agree with that, but it's not entirely true. W Knight. But I'll get back into that later when I actually get to these maps. But yeah, North Sea. Then we have Norway, which is also an incredibly awkward map. Because, again, it works great for destroyers and below. It gets a bit awkward with cruisers and above, especially battleships when you have to spawn down there. In the counter version, you spawn up here with battleships. Not really great. The north side has no cover. The south side, you just hope you can get to this island before you sink. It's also an incredibly shallow map, so any wrecks that get formed outside of spawn just stay there, and they become a real collision hazard. But again, Norway, one of the original maps, isn't designed for battleships. Andaman Sea. Actually a map I kind of like, but it is a bit... I don't know. I don't actually know which side has the advantage. But it's very coastal oriented, doesn't really work with anything bigger than destroyers, again. But also, one of the original maps was not designed with cruisers or battleships in mind. Yeah, I think so as well, they have an advantage, but at the same time, this can actually become a roadblock, this island. Because if the enemy hides behind the island, you can hide yourself from the enemy. I've had it plenty of times where you can actually approach around here-ish by the time enemy destroyers are bold enough to move out. I actually kind of like Andaman Sea. It's something different, but it's not great for cruisers and above. Again, an original map. Green Mountains Gulf. Low-tier map. You don't really see it with cruisers. It works fine like that. But this spawn is really awkward though. For some reason you can spawn all the way out there. Some people do, and you're just useless the entire match. So yeah. It's this map is actually from 1.81. Which, do I have some context for that? 1.81 was still closed beta for Naval. So again, this is closed beta. I think by this time though, we probably saw our first cruisers appear. So, yeah. Then we have Fuego, which did get some major changes over the years. Yeah. It was better originally when we had more islands around the B point, but that was covered in a video a while ago. I think this is actually a pretty good map nowadays for battleships, although coastal just captures A, then B, and then... Eh. With battleships, you don't have any choice but fight around the sea point. So it's just awkward. This version of the map is downright atrocious because the spawn points are no longer here. They're right there, so the destroyers just spawn within 3 kilometers of each other. Fun times. But yeah. That is Fuego. Then we have Coral Islands. So for added context, Coral Islands came to the game in 1.87, which is the same update where we got USS Brooklyn. Coral Sea nowadays is not really a high-tier map, although I could have sworn you can still... You used to be able to play it with battleships. I definitely have played on it in battleships. It's a map I actually do kind of like, but the problem is the battleship spawns are here and down here, and you usually actually don't have enough time to turn behind the island, and this spawn cannot effectively go over here because you're just exposing yourself to southern fire. I think I've had some fun games of going all the way around. But the thing is, with a battleship, by the time you actually get to a position you can use, the game's halfway over. Or actually over. But it's something. It's actually one of maybe the better maps in terms of cover, but you're in an awkward position to get behind the cover. Then you have... Volcanic, which was also a great map until they removed islands cover. Actually still one of my more liked maps for cruisers and battleships. You just take the center spawn, play around the central islands. Pretty fun map, but they butchered it when they removed those islands, man. Which was very questionable at the time. Volcanic Islands, by the way, came to the game in update 1.89, which was the update where we got Japanese naval and the first heavy cruisers. Yeah, it's that old of a map. Then we have Japanese port. Also, again, a map that's actually really great for destroyers. Nothing else. Because the cruisers and above spawn down here. And you have to sail out into open ocean, just trading broadsides the entire time before getting to the actual objectives. Not great. But... as with all the maps, great for destroyers. And I'm of the opinion that's one of the reasons why our maps are so bad, so to say, is that all of the map designers were trained for coastal and destroyer maps, and they just haven't gotten the proper training to make battleship maps. That's what I think, at least. But anyways... moving on, we actually get to one of the maps I think is one of the best for battleships, although actually a little bit tight. Palau Islands. So, I actually really liked the original Palau Islands when you actually had all these islands to the south. These no longer exist. A large part of them no longer do. I actually really like it, but it's incredibly tight for battleships. But it is still a fun map. But because it's so tight and so large, the ticket beat is too fast. So by the time a coastal sneaks into a cap, you really need to rush to be able to decap it. By that time, a lot of the match has actually expired. It's not great. But map design-wise, I actually think it is pretty good. Yeah, no, it's not that the southern islands don't render cringe. They're not there. A lot of the islands on this capture point just physically aren't there. So, yeah. Fun map changes for no reason. I'm just gonna keep rambling about all the maps, because why not? Then we have... okay. That's not the one I wanted to get. Do we not have South Africa? Was it not a map? Hold on. Where's South Africa? Or did they rename that map? Where is it? So the qualities of a good BB map, to me, is large and with lots of tall cover. Oh yes, Lenny, because you're asking, I'll actually pop it up real quick. Because I do have pictures of all of them. Just give me a moment, as this will be slightly scuffed. But then again, what isn't on my stream? So we go to that. These are some other battleships we were found in the files. So we have Richelieu in a full 44 anti-air fit. We have the Bismarck. We have Gneisenau, but we already know that. We have an Iowa. We have Roma. We have Sevastopol. We have Sovietsky Soyuz, Yamato, and that's it. In other words, we are getting all of the end-of-the-line battleships. They're not confirmed yet, but they're in the files. They're there. So what did you say there? Second from the right on top? No, this is Illusion. It's weird because I've been playing a lot of South Africa like a couple of days ago. Let me see if it's maybe in the arcade pool. South... no. Weird. Because I actually like South Africa. It's this one. It's this one. Oh, it's New Zealand. No, what is South Africa? Well, let's forget that. And look at South Kvarken. Which is also a map they butchered. Because there used to be a lot, and I mean a lot of island cover down south, and it just, poof, gone. That update made a lot of questionable changes, especially for high-tech battleship gameplay, and it's yeah, weird. Then we... things I used to be... yeah, exactly. I used to like South Kvarken. It was a good map before. A decent map, at least. But now it is so stale, because if you want to go actually play the objective, if you want to be in cover, you have to go up north. There's nothing else you can do. You can't push down south because you're out in the open. Bad map change. And for those who want to know, South Kvarken came out in 1.95, which was the update after we got Helena, so the premium Brooklyn. So again, we got South Kvarken before battleships. Then New Zealand Cape. Actually, unironically, one of my favorite maps for battleships, especially 7.0s. Also, I will get to the questions about all the ships, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, New Zealand Cape I think is a fantastic map for battleships, really. Yeah, but that's the thing, right, Scout? You cannot have a map that's good for battleships and good for destroyers, because battleships require range and cover and long-range engagements. Destroyers cannot do that. They just can't. But moving on to another map I actually really liked before they removed this center island, Illusion. I don't think you can see it with battleships, you can't. But I like this map. I really do. Because when you had that center island, you could move to the objectives in cover and then fight around the objectives. But with that center island removed, you're a bit more restricted in terms of hiding. You do actually get 3 spawn points, and if you take the top one, you'll get into cover pretty quickly. But yeah. Illusion Islands. And then, now we're getting to the maps. The only maps that were introduced after New Power, right? So these are the maps that got added after New Power. First and foremost, Drowned City. Coastal only map. Coastal only map. Nothing more to say. Actually really fun and interesting coastal only map. It is just an interesting map concept. It's interesting. It's really hard on lower-end PCs, as I experienced with my last one. But it's a really interesting map. Coastal only. We get Viborg Bay. Coastal only. Again. These are 2 of the 5 maps that came after New Power. Actually a pretty fun coastal map, in my opinion. Good map. Then we get Golden Bay. Coastal map of destroyer spawns. What can I say, really? I think on release you can actually get this map of battleships. I'm not entirely sure. But Golden Bay is atrocious for destroyers because you're just open water gunboating. For coastals, incredibly fun map. I actually really like this map when I'm grinding high tier coastals. I just spawn over at the C point, find we're in the C point, move over to the B point. I like it. Because the coastals are genuinely protected from the destroyer fight. So just good coastal map. Then we move on to our 4th map after New Power. And that is the Gimmick map, where they removed the gimmick. So the weird part about Franz Josef Land is that this map follows the same coastal destroyer map design features, where it is 2 capture points in a tight area for coastal, and 2 open destroyer spawns. So you'd think, oh, this will be like a coastal plus 5-0. One, like 2-0 to 5-0 map, right? It just isn't. Because it had an interesting gimmick, which they just removed, where it had 4 coastal fortifications, which will shoot back at you. Interesting gimmick. No longer there. It's for some reason a map you can see with 7-0s. Just weird. It's a weird map. With a weird history. But yeah. I actually don't mind this map too much. What I do on this map, if I'm able to, is I just... Because this is a blue water map, is you just rush the island to the sea point and fight around there. If you're fast enough, you can actually go to the B area, or tanky enough. You can go to the coastal areas, but it's a bit of an awkward map. Because it's a map that's, like, given to higher BRs, even though it isn't designed for higher BRs, clearly. And then our 5th and final map after New Power. Coastal map. Just unironically a coastal map again. So yeah, the problem... And of course, and the only other battleship maps we have are Conquest. We have Denmark, which is open ocean. It used to actually be behind this island, and that was a little bit painful, a little bit meta-defining. But open ocean, semi-open ocean, open ocean, open ocean, open ocean with 2 low islands in the middle, and open ocean. This, and this shouldn't be 3 different maps. They are 3 actually, and this. Those are 4 identical maps, but with the same kind of weight in the matchmaking pool, and that is just painful. So yeah, it's... I don't really know how to properly word this, but my frustration with maps is not their poor design. It is that we have so few which are actually properly designed for battleships. Only 5 maps were released after New Power. 3 of them are coastal exclusive. 1 of them is a gimmick, and the other one follows the old design doctrine for destroyers plus coastal. It's... So the problem isn't actually... Well, part of the problem is old map design. The other problem is just a lack of maps. It's not that we have shit maps, it's just that we have no maps actually designed for battleships, which kind of is the same thing, but... Oh well. Anyways. Back to talks about next upcoming update. Let me scroll back into the comments and see what all the questions were. So yeah, I went over all the ships in the files. Let's see. if I'm missing a question, don't be afraid to just repeat your question. Because I'm definitely not... I am very forgetful when it comes to things actually asked to me. Let's see. Yeah, there were no, for as far as I remember, there were no reasons given for removing the coastal batteries on Franz Josef Land. You know what, let's just jump into the queue again. Let's see what happens. There we go. Well, I did say I actually vaguely like this map, right? So let's show you how I play this map. If I can actually do it with these ships. So we spawn over there, and we immediately make a nosedive for this island. So full hard left rudder.
Moteur, pleine puissance. Parade à bord.
Right through a good spot, and we'll just go island camp. No, Striker. I think U-boats are coming in 2 updates or so, by the end of the year. Because the thing you have to consider about the fact that we're getting end-of-the-line battleships now, is that they'll move on to other stuff. Also, that is a comment I saw earlier. Something about them rushing to end-of-the-line battleships, and that meaning that they're ditching the concept or something like that. Oh, who said that? Who was that? Because I don't want to twist somebody's word. You know, you could say it's rushed, but on the other hand, is it really? I think, realistically speaking, you could have added 1 update before this one. No missiles. No missiles. They explicitly said they are not working on missiles this year. They don't have any plans for it. What they do have some inkling of plans for are submarines. I think that is very much exaggerated. That is not how this works. This is not one final cash grab, this is just finally moving beyond battleships. It's like people seeing this change, or like saying what is an appropriate level of change. It's like people seeing the first MPTs arrive, like the Chieftains, the T-62s, and saying, oh, this is now a cash grab, they'll fully abandon World War II. Completely. That is not how this works. A new rank is that people do not know what Naval still has in store. They think that the surface combatants is everything, and that's just everything. It's not going to end with battleships. It will never end. It was never going to just end with battleships. Again, they're not working on anti-ship missiles. No. So I've mentioned this before when we played the Submarine event. Submarines are fairly easy to integrate because they're not good ships. So you put them at a low BR. Of course, I am talking about World War II submarines. No missile shenanigans here. No nuclear submarines. Why do we? Because we're getting to a new rank. The thing is with a new rank, first and foremost, there are still paper battleships, quote unquote, or paper-ish, proposed concepts, things that got laid down but never finished. There are still more battleships if you want to really push for it. For example, H-39. I think everybody's fairly confident that H-39 is a very possible addition. We're not seeing it yet, but we can. H-39 got laid down. I believe the 16-inch guns actually existed. We can see it. There is Musashi, there is Yamato, well, there's Shinano that was going to be made as a battleship with 100mm guns, so another Yamato to be added. There is Montana in a questionable sense, also this guy just... okay. That there are still more ships. I don't see how people see, oh, these are the most famous battleships, this is the end of Navy. That doesn't make any sense. It's like seeing the F-16 being added and saying, oh, this is the end of Air Forces. No, it just isn't.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Yeah, there are definitely still more, as you could call them, filler battleships to add. And I also want to really hammer down, we do not know what BR these ships will be. We do not know if there will be any decompression, and if I can actually be a bit hopeful, and we do get decompression, there will be more breathing room to add more in-between battleships. Also, the H-class was laid down. H-39 started construction. There are pictures of it. I can understand. I can understand that KGV and North Carolina would have been nice to see before these battleships. But both of those ships, I want to say, are actually of the same caliber. Though, do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of those fast battleship classes actually has shorter guns, no? I think one of the 3 fast battleship classes has a 45 caliber 6-inch gun or something, whilst the other have 50s. I'm not entirely sure. But I also want to reiterate that this is not the first time that Naval has seen a big jump in naval technology out of nowhere. I really want to remind everybody that we got Hyuga, the update after we got our first dreadnoughts. We went straight from the first ever dreadnoughts to the 14-inch battleship in one update. This isn't something new, this isn't something absurd. So all the doomer posting about this update, I don't understand it. It is a very exciting update, and it'll make all the future updates even more interesting. I'm also fairly certain that I'm not fairly certain, but I think I've read that the KGV actually has more armor than Vanguard. So you could argue it's a better ship. I don't know. It's just, I don't see any reason to panic about this update. It is a big update. It's one of the biggest we've had since New Power, as has been brought up earlier. And I think that's what's throwing a lot of people off. It's just it's such a really big update. It was kind of unexpected. But I don't see the reason to panic. Yeah, there is indeed a very big caveat to this update, is compression. We have no clue if they'll decompress. And if they do decompress, by how much. So that is a big worry. And I really do hope they decompress, because it's... The thing is, right, I might just be coping, I might just be trying to rationalize this for myself. Let's say all of these battleships get added at 7.0. What changes? Like, what about the current problems with Naval change with the introduction of these battleships at 7.0? In our worst case scenario, so to speak. It'll make earlier battleships a lot less competitive. It'll make cruisers... Will it actually change cruisers? Like, fundamental gameplay? Is it just more battleships that they cannot deal with? That's a good point.
We have most of the zone.
I think Bismarck actually has torps as well, I'm not sure. But yeah, that is something that's also a thing. Gneisenau arguably is a... I don't want to say it's worth $80 because I don't want to say that. I could afford it, and it arguably is a very big piece into your 3-ship battleship line. But yeah, I think Gneisenau will be kind of important. But at the same time, it is an upgunned Scharnhorst. Does it make it a direct upgrade? Will it be a side grade? I don't know. It's really hard to say what these ships will be like when we don't know their BR, when we don't know what kind of decompression we're getting, if any, when we don't know what the cost of new ships will be, because that's another thing. That's another thing people are looking over. A new rank, a new top rank, means should mean economic changes for the lower ranks. It should mean that the lower ranks become cheaper. Thank you for correcting me, Mike. Wasn't aware of that, sorry. But yeah, it's really... how do I say this? It's really tricky to tell you what the value of these premium ships are when we just don't know anything about this update. Again, that's not how that works, Lenny. The highest rank is always around 400,000, 390,000 RP. That is just the cost of the highest rank. So a new highest rank will get those costs, and the lower ranks should decrease in costs to I don't know, adjust. We've seen this when ground got new ranks, we've seen this when air got new ranks, we've seen this when rank 6 got added for naval. That's always what happens. I agree that volume of fire is quite important, that Renown feels a bit anemic. At the same time, I've played quite a bit of Bayern today and yesterday, and I have lost a turret permanently on Bayern, and those guns are really accurate. So I haven't really noticed the lack of volume of fire with only 6 guns too much. Whether or not the Bismarck guns will get the same accuracy in game, again, who knows. But if they do, I don't think that'll actually be too much of a problem, especially with the better than average reload that the Bayern's 15-inch guns get. I don't see the SL modifier increasing, because the SL modifier for naval peaks at rank 3 and stays at that same level as rank 3s. So, yeah. Either way, I'm very much looking forward to next weekend, because I'm assuming that next weekend will be the devserver weekend, and it's going to be an exciting weekend. Can't wait for the teaser either. Just cannot wait for it. But yeah, in general, I don't see the reason to panic for the next update. At worst, at the absolute worst, it'll just be same old with shiny new toys. Like, genuinely. Of course, I'm not talking about any kind of damage model changes or aiming system changes they might throw in the mix, but looking purely at the ship additions, at worst, naval will just stay the same. also, I got completely sidetracked when I was talking about submarines earlier, didn't I? But I was going to say, I actually have a thought about how I'd like to see submarines implemented. And that is, I think they actually should be a line of coastal vessels. Although, when we had that World War II submarine event a while ago, that submarine was a battle rating 3.7 at rank 2, which would infer it being a blue water vessel, although we currently don't have any 3.7s at rank 2. But that might change. Phoenix. Yeah. That's about the map changes, understandable. And I do agree with this. You know, I found Scharnhorst to actually be quite killable nowadays. It is not nearly as immortal as it used to be, thanks to the new Barbette fire thingy. I think you can sink a Scharnhorst with 3 Barbette fires quite reliably. And if they're stupid enough to take full ammo, you'll detonate it with 1 Barbette fire. That is also something I'm looking forward to, just the sounds of those 18-inch guns. In general, I'm looking forward to all of these ships. All of them look absolutely stunning. I can't wait to use them in custom battles. I can't wait to actually get my hands on them. Use them for events. Looks all really fun. The fire mechanic has changed a considerable amount. It's really important to actually change your maximum ammo load. So basically now a fire in a Barbette can spread down and will gradually damage your magazine. If you take less ammo, it will not damage it as quickly, and taking less ammo makes the detonation not nearly as severe. I've played Scharnhorst with full ammo. If you get a fire in your Barbette, you die within 3 seconds. So you need to take reduced ammo. And even then, you'll gradually lose health in your magazine. So after repeated fires in the Barbette, you will eventually die to detonation. HE spam doesn't work. HE spam doesn't randomly ignore Barbette armor. Anyways. For naval need mix of arcade plus RP, maybe accuracy boost for manual targeting. I think I understand what you're trying to say with a manual targeting boost for secondary guns, you mean? I kind of do think that secondary guns need to be a little bit tweaked for anti-surface duty to be a bit more, viable. Just have the AI do it. I think the economy is pretty good though nowadays. With the AIs being the same reward as normal players, I think that's grand. Anyways, I'll just jump into the match before Phoenix gets absolutely bored. So, recommending Warspite or Marlborough? I actually don't have Warspite myself yet. Marlborough has been pretty fun. And I think Warspite is actually pretty much in the similar vein. I don't think it's nearly as squishy as Barham is. But I don't know. I don't have Warspite myself, and I haven't actually fought all that many of them. Striker, when it comes to Yamato's float planes, we have Mogami's with 2 different float planes. You just launch 1 float plane. I don't know. It's probably going to be the same with Yamato, where it just launches 1 type of float plane. I don't really know, Scout. It's a bit vague to me still as well for the detonation kill threshold. Because I have had powder magazines blow up and not kill my ship. There is no real kill threshold nowadays because it actually matters when you take a reduced ammo load or not. So if you just take an ammo load so vastly reduced where magazine detonations no longer become lethal, that's just how that works nowadays. I don't really know what the threshold is, I really don't. I just know that for my German ships and for my Italian ships, which really have suffered from the Barbette fires, I've taken 1/3 ammo on them. or even less. And that does wonders for their survivability. I think on every single ship nowadays, I actually recommend taking reduced ammo. All of them. Destroyers, cruisers, battleships, all of them. Take the maximum ammo you need and nothing more. That's what I recommend. I don't actually know how vulnerable every single ship is, but that is a thing. Of course, if the damage model changes again, who knows?
Moteur, pleine puissance. Tribord, tout.
So as I say, on this map, my goal is to go straight for that island, which I'll most likely not reach with the battleship, but we can try.
Branle-bas de combat. Ennemi
There is no general rule of thumb because every ship is different. They've actually stated in the dev blog when it got changed that every single ship is modeled different. They have different kinds of protection for their magazine towards fire in the barbette. I have noticed for the German and Italian battleships, you really need to take a reduced ammo load. I haven't noticed this as much on other battleships of other nations. I haven't really played everything. I haven't played Japan in ages. But for German and Italian battleships, taking a reduced ammo load is really vital. So, and also when it comes to highest percentage you take, that also depends on your ship. If you have a fast firing ship, you need to take more ammo. If you try and go into a battle and actually see how many shells you use in a battle. The one thing you do have to take into account though is that your shells are evenly distributed amongst all of your turrets. So if you're somebody who actually angles in quite a lot and only uses your front plus turrets, you'll have to account for that because your ammo total is your total ammo pool. So in this case I only have 50 rounds per gun. But my reload rate is 30 seconds, so 50 times half a minute is 25 minutes. I have 25 minutes of consistent firing. That's more than enough. And that is half ammo load. Of course, if you also want to take different types of ammo, you have to kind of compensate for that too. So it's tricky. It's tricky. I don't really have a rule of thumb right at this moment because it's a change that only happened in April. I haven't mastered it yet. Definitely take reduced ammo wherever possible. This is quite a cluster in front of me, isn't it? Oh, there's Frenchy. He's a mighty. I think the rest of this year is going to be an interesting year. Because I really was not expecting rank 7A with this update. And the end of the line battleships. I'm trying to think which is actually more likely, whether we get missile ships or aircraft carriers first. I'm trying to think which of the two would be more difficult to actually implement. Yeah, somehow I get the feeling that the answer to that is missile ships. I'm gonna remain very hopeful and very positive about this next update until I actually see the dev server. Because I need to know what the BRs are like, I need to know if we're getting decompression. Because if we are getting meaningful decompression, that might mean we see some more development into the cruisers again. Because there's still a lot of Japanese cruisers I'd really like to see. And if we're actually getting decompressed BRs, that might be really great for them. So see, this is a full-on detonation of the super firing turret in this Yamashiro. Didn't outright kill him. Because of how they rework detonations. Flooding did, but yeah. We don't have the missile ships I'm thinking of. The missile ships in game are all Saklos guided. And even technically speaking, I don't think it probably should be. That is actually a good question. What is my thought of where which ship is added? I have my own theories. Of course, I am not certain of any of them. They're just my own little theories. And I will get to that after this battle, when I can actually show it in the line. Because it'll make more sense when I can actually show the positions. So where are all those guns going? Jesus. Coastal 38 point, I guess. The thing is, what I'm worrying about is these are rank 7s, so you will need a lot of rank 6s to be able to actually get to rank 7s. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that it is entirely possible we'll see rank 6s move up to rank 7. Again, I don't know which, I don't know how many, I don't know if any of that will happen, so it's I'm really looking forward to that server just to see all the changes. It seems there's actually a Shimakaze out at the A point, and just appeared by the Shimakaze and spawn. Which is what you could call some great map design.
The enemy has most of the strategic zones.
Fire on the rear of this guy. Spamming is not important.
The enemy is winning. We must counterattack.
Hello. I'll need to have a look at the tech freeze. not using a camera.
Moteur à l'arrêt.
Allied forces have captured the zone.
Not sure what exactly. Is that bot going to get on the capture zone? Maybe. It should be able to. At 8 kilometers? Probably. Oh, this. I'll get to that in just a moment. I kind of missed an Amag. Side of the camp. But yeah, I'll get to that when I'm in the hangar. Because I right-click to zoom in, is what I'm doing. And it just goes to maximum zoom. Because my scroll wheel is my distance correction, as you might be able to see. I don't think I can actually penetrate Namagi, can I? Range 3 kilometers. I should be able to.
We no longer have the advantage.
Vaguely, not quite. Is default Z for a camera? Okay. Definitely just the controls I've been using for years. Same goes for ground or air. The zoom is always just right click. The zoom in fully. I'll need to find the actual control for it. There we go, actually penetrated it. Yeah, I'll get to it in a bit. Maybe one sec. Or shall I just look it up? It should be spectator camera. Here. No, that's not it. It is just, it's common. A few controls. Yeah, there it is. Zoom camera, right click. I'm burning. No problem. Yeah, for so my scroll is it actually where's W? Well, for me it would be W. Yeah, I think also for the default enable isn't it scroll wheel for zoom. I think also one of the reasons why I've been using right click to zoom in, because I just don't really see the point of zooming in gradually. Arguably there is a point, but not in most of my use cases. Getting some fire. I think that Da Vinci has a grudge to resolve. Both, maybe. And I am not quite mobile enough to just turn myself around and get behind this rock. Also the Yamashiro shooting at me. You could say suboptimal. I am not currently in, well I am in the squad, but I don't really want to increase it too much, but I'll invite you. I'll see if the matchmaking queue will take too long or not. Still fairly happy with the result of the kind of match it was. I lost my bridge, so it's moving slower in the turn. Rodney.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Ennemi touché. Ah. Navire de guerre. 7000 mètres.
Okay, and that's game over.
Repliez-vous vers la base.
Oh well. Huh. Neat. Didn't even know there was French Navy was going on. Gonna be a long road to Dunkirk. But yeah, before I go into the next match, where I think all the new ships will come. So, going for America. I think it's either going to come after Alaska or Tennessee. And my personal bet is Alaska. Von Vince. One moment. One moment. Where is it? There it is. So, they are getting something for its capital ship in the normal tech tree. Bismarck. We're also potentially getting Richelieu. So Bismarck, nice now. Iowa, Roma, Sevastopol, Sovietsky Soyuz, and Yamato. Potentially. So, yeah, those have all been data mined in a file, so there's no guarantee they're coming this update, but they're there. They exist. But anyways, I believe, personally, Iowa's going to come after Alaska. And they'll probably move Colorado up to rank 7 as well. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at as well, basically. Although, is there another... you could put a AA Colorado after Tennessee, I guess. But yeah, I'm personally thinking Iowa will be after Alaska. For Germany, I don't actually know. I really don't. I'm kind of anticipating actually coming after Sachsen. That's why I'm researching Sachsen instead of just doing my normal stuff. But I don't know. I actually don't for Germany. It could be either. But my gut is telling me Sachsen. Sovietsky Soyuz. I want to say after Kronstadt because it's a native Russian design. Whereas these are like the foreign ships. I'm going to go there, Europe, but I don't actually know. I haven't seen it. But I think Sovietsky Soyuz will come after Kronstadt. For Great Britain, I think Vanguard will come after Hood, as to me it makes the most sense, where KGV would be in the line of Rodney. Again, that's my thought. No guarantees, but I think Vanguard will come after Hood. For Japan, I think Yamato will come after Fuso, because this is like the late war AA refit, and the Yamato we have on the file is the full-on anti-air fit. So that's where I'm thinking it'll go, with Mutsunamagi being moved up to rank 7. For Italy, I am actually anticipating Roma to come after Duilio. So that's where I anticipate it going. Just because the Roma also has a very similar anti-air loadout. It looks more closely related to the Duilio in terms of AA. Both of these are technically like paper ships or concept or ships that were never put into production. So I see Roma actually being put after Duilio. And then for France, I don't know. I don't know. It would kind of be logical to just follow Dunkirk. I don't know BRs. I genuinely couldn't tell you what the BRs will be for these ships. That'll be something we'll have to wait for on the dev server. But yeah, those are my thoughts about where the ships will be placed. So I think Richelieu will probably come after Dunkirk, Roma after Duilio, Yamato after Fuso, with Amagi and Mutsu moving up. We get Vanguard after Hood, With maybe some moving up, I don't know. I think if I were to have to choose, I think Soyuz after Kronstadt. My gut is telling me it'll come after Sachsen, Bismarck. And I think Iowa will come after Alaska, with Colorado moving up. That's what I think. We'll have to wait and see. About that, about Japanese premium. So if we're getting a rank 6 premium, I actually don't know what it would be, because we're only missing one Japanese 14-inch battleship, and that is Hiei. We have all the others. I don't think it would be 44 refit Nagato, because 44 refit Nagato is the only full anti-air suite 16-inch battleship Japan could ever get. So that would feel really dirty to be the premium. That's what I'm thinking as well, Phoenix. Tosa. I think Tosa will be the rank 6 premium. As Lanny also just pointed out. Another option that I actually just considered. Maybe Battleship Carrier EC? Maybe? But that's maybe a bit tinfoil hatty of me. Anyways, Local, you wanted to join the squad? I need your in-game name again because I'm really bad at remembering names. So yeah, I'm just going to Grand Dunkirk with the thought that it'll come out of Dunkirk. It is going to take a while though. There it is. It is just the same name. Yep. Invite the squad. I haven't actually played Colorado yet, because just quick notion, it's the last ship I got, so I didn't see the need to play it yet. I'm going to play it to grind Iowa. I think it's a pretty good ship. It's still a US standard, but with even punchier guns. That's really it, and no anti-air. Well, some anti-air. So it's a bit of a... I don't have any personal experience, but it doesn't look bad. I actually quite like the American standards. They're, you know, their own thing. Yeah, I'm actually... I think an AA Colorado is definitely a more... how do I say this? I think an AA Colorado is a more realistic rank 6 premium for them. Unless they move Colorado up to rank 7? I don't know. I don't know. I can't really predict these things. Yeah, something like that sample. I will just have to wait and see, really. What were the original South Dakota? Weren't the original South Dakotas supposed to have 14-inch guns? Or is it something I'm completely misremembering? 12? 60? 4 triples or 3 quads? Well, we'll have to wait and see. But that's the thing. There are a lot of people doomer posting about this update being, oh, this is the end of Naval, they're finally giving up, they're adding all of the big ones in one go and they'll just finish it. I don't see it that way. I see that we're finally getting to these famous battleships. So the door has just been blown open. We will now get, you know, we'll get new stuff, we'll get new cool stuff again in the next coming updates instead of the gradual creep up the battleship progression line.
Dans le bas de combat, tout le monde à son poste. Moteur, pleine puissance.
Lots of familiar names, as sadly French is in the enemy team now. thing is, I don't see missile cruisers coming because they did deny it, but as we said with Gaijin 4, just because they deny something doesn't mean they're not doing it when it comes to adding vehicles and tech and stuff. But I 100% see submarines this year as well. I 100% see it happening, and it'll be something. No matter what, I am very much excited for the rest of this year. Yeah, I also like that. The everybody just spawns in a line ahead. It's so good. You can get some really nice screenshots in this map just because of that. Yeah, the other reason why I think this update is like really big is I now no longer know what we'll get in the next updates next year. I just don't. If they're going to go to Cold War ships, that's just not my specialty. It's not my interest. Either way, having seen videos about that, I keep forgetting the name. It's not Cold Waters. It's that new one, but in a similar. I think it's the same developers, isn't it? I keep forgetting the name of it. Sea Power. Thank you. I've seen some videos of Sea Power, and there's a lot of those ships are cool. I think early missile ships do look incredibly cool. If they're going to be nice to play, look. At the end of the day, I'm going to be playing naval. No matter what they add, no matter how they add it, I am going to play naval. So I'll just see when we get to that point. I will also say I kind of, you could argue I kind of speak from a position of privilege in that sense, because I have every single tech tree up to battleships. So I'm not really that affected if cruiser gameplay sees a lot of, becomes less efficient, less good to play. So it's a bit, I see these additions from different perspectives. Like, seeing these end-of-the-line battleships in the leagues, I couldn't imagine trying to grind up to like beyond 5.3 if we don't see any decompression. It's going to be... But at the same time, it's not a new problem. Current 7.0s are already a problem for late cruisers. These new battleships, if they stay at 7.0, it's the same problem. So I don't see it as something that terrible. But I don't know. It's a bit of a weird and difficult topic for me to really wrap my head around. If we do see decompression though, great things will happen. Because that will mean that the 7.0 black hole will get moved up. So that should, I think, alleviate some pressure over the 6.0 cruisers. Also, now that we have 6.0 battleships again, I don't know. I'm curious to see next update. I cannot wait. That is a worry. That is a real big worry. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if they limit aircraft, if they do anything like that. We'll have to see. But that is a worry, and it is a valid one. Also, at the same time, let's say they go up to 8.0, right? What is the most dangerous 8.3 aircraft? Because you can bring an aircraft that's 0.3 of a battle rating higher. What would be the most dangerous one? Because I'm not actually that familiar with jet bombers too much. I think, are the Canberras 8.3 or are they higher? Is the TU-14 that dangerous? Like, okay, a 3,000 kilo bomb does have a very high probability of just killing somebody. But will it be reliable? Will it really be consistent? don't think the Amagi is fucking aware of the Sharnos right around the corner.
Attack the enemy.
He doesn't. And the thing is, Sharnos has torpedoes. Hard right rudder. Oh, that's gonna be just. Hard right rudder, come on. Okay, fire in our bat. Does this Sharnos carry full ammo? Please tell me it carries full ammo. It does not carry full ammo. I actually have torpedoes on my own. Hold on. Oh, never mind. Amagi got it. Torpedoes on my right flank. Oh, we're good. And it's gonna miss the Amagi as well. We're good. We're fine.
Contrôle des dégâts au groupe de réparation. Pompez l'eau des compartiments inondés. Maintenant. Groupe de réparation. Commencez à contrôler les dégâts. À bord. Tout. À bord. Tout. Terminé. Moteur à l'arrêt. Barre au milieu du navire. Barre au milieu du navire. Terminé.
This is a cool looking
Cible
game sometimes.
identifié. Navire de guerre. 2-0. Ennemi touché.
Yep. That's just gonna be there now, isn't it?
Navire de guerre.
Yeah, completely. I completely forgot that we get these wreckage things now.
Cible identifiée. 3 heures léger.
Absolutely.
2-0-0. 7000 mètres.
Yeah, this map definitely. I believe this map was better back when it had more islands. But it's. You get used to it eventually. You develop new playstyles.
Let's keep the pressure
And
on.
pushing
Victory is
jets.
close.
Frappe directe. Effectué sur le navire ennemi.
Like,
Cible identifiée.
it's definitely something to be a bit concerned about, seeing higher and higher BR jets with these battleships. But at the same time, I think all of the battleships that are being added have somewhat threatening AA.
Cible identifiée. 3 heures léger.
But as with everything, we'll have to wait and see what the devserver tells us.
Moteur.
No tracers, okay.
Navire de guerre. À bord. 4000 mètres. Cible identifiée. Navire de guerre. 2-0. Touché par les obus.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
À tribord. Tout. À tribord. Tout. Terminé.
Enemy forces have captured a
Fargo
zone.
with an ammunition fire, nice.
Cible identifiée. 3 heures de bataille. Position.
Where are my torpedoes actually? Rear.
Alerte collision. 3 heures de bataille. À l'arrière. 8000 mètres. Cible identifiée. Navire
So
de guerre.
front and rear, and no forward and aft, right?
Préparez les lance-torpilles.
I don't think they will. Because the thing about individual aircraft is you can actually benefit from having those AI aircraft out and about. That's worries for a future thing. Exactly, Striker. I am of the firm belief that the devserver will be this next weekend. And with the dev streams then of course following being this Friday. Oh, I actually ended in this angle? Great. Is it a Dunkirk? That's a Strasbourg, okay. Okay, didn't expect that. I take this and kill assist, okay.
3 heures de bataille.
That's something I have noticed with the new fires to magazine things. So you will set the fire and they'll detonate from it, but it'll still give the kill credit to whoever shot them last. And that's a bit annoying.
Moteur.
Because you do, if with setting fire to a magazine doesn't do a lot of damage, but then that magazine blowing up and killing them does a lot of damage and gives you a lot of rewards. And that reward being misattributed is a bit painful. way too aggressive here, but
Cible identifié.
like see that? What was it, the Wyoming that actually detonated him, or was it my fire in the Barbette that killed him? I don't know.
Cible identifiée. Navire de guerre. Cible identifiée. Croiseur léger.
Fire in my little Barbette this time? Not really sure. Fire somewhere.
Contrôle des dégâts aux équipes anti-incendie. Contrôlez les compartiments en feu. Tout le monde, nous avons subi des dégâts critiques. Nous avons subi des dégâts. Cible identifiée.
That's just because not happy with me.
Contrôle des dégâts aux groupes de réparation. Pompez l'eau des compartiments inondés. Maintenant. Groupe de réparation.
Just gonna keep on turning.
Commencez à contrôler les dégâts. Tout le monde, nous avons subi des dégâts critiques.
That guy's still burning.
Navire de guerre.
Let's just pick up behind the mountains, I should be safe.
Cible touchée par les obus. Pas au milieu du navire. Pas au milieu du navire. Terminé.
Let's just wait for everything to repair. Work the south into the rear turret.
Navire de guerre. À l'avant.
There we go. Some flooding out from crews as well.
Ouais. Cible détruite.
Alright.
Barre à tribord. Cible identifiée. Navire de guerre.
Can't really damage this just broke. He's angling. He's aware of the threat. However, you cannot angle Barbettes.
A little more effort, and victory will be ours.
Quite hit it down.
Nous avons subi des dégâts critiques. Ah, cible touchée par les obus.
Okay, that gun was not nearly on target.
Cible touchée par les obus. Attirez.
There we go.
Ouais, ennemi touché. Navire de guerre. À l'avant.
You know what? That's actually a valid point, because if in this update they can't actually properly cover ships on the death stream, that's gonna be wild. This is gonna be a very, very big update for Naval, and they can't cover it properly. It's yeah. That's gonna be upsetting. Cool. Oh. Okay, I'll take that.
Cible identifiée. Croiseur léger. Position.
Probably stole that kill from somebody else, because I don't think it was my shells at that time.
Croiseur de bataille. À tribord. 9000 mètres.
Might have been the hoods.
Nous avons subi des dégâts critiques. Ennemi touché.
It's flooding
Cible
rapidly.
identifiée. Navire de guerre. 2, 4, 0. 5000 mètres. Ennemi détruit. Tribord, tout. À tribord, tout. Terminé. Navire de guerre. À l'avant. 2000
Maybe
mètres.
we need to start getting into the seaplanes.
Du navire, terminé. Cible presque touchée. Ah, ennemi touché. Bon, nous avons subi des dégâts critiques.
distance range?
Identifié.
I believe the answer to that's going to be no.
9000 mètres.
And our route is sailing past the sea point.
Par au milieu du navire.
Great stuff.
Des dégâts en route de réparation.
Got approaching as well. It's B-26, and that's the French battleship that made it, isn't it? Eesh. Ooh, this one's actually far off. I'm not going to reload in time there. Once again, so oh, okay. HTF doesn't work. Ah, there it is. And we're fine. Bomb lands on the deck.
Des dégâts à mon bord.
So that is part of the reason why I don't think jet bombers are that threatening to those high-end battleships. Because that was an SB, that was a B-26, and I don't know what kind of bomb it was, but it did literally nothing. At least not that I can tell. I didn't keep a close eye on my crew count before and after. Well, you don't need to, what you can also actually... What you used to be able to do is put a bomb in the water right next to a magazine and that will just kill them. But I will say that isn't as consistent as it used to be.
Par à tribord. Tout. Par au milieu du navire.
The Hood is such a cool looking ship. That's another thing about this next update. All of those ships are so cool. I can't wait to get my hand on them. Like, I said this to my friends already, but if we are actually getting Yamato this update, I am straight up going to get it, I am going to put a talisman on it, and I'm going to immediately ace the crew on this. And nothing is going to stop me.
Navire de guerre. À bâbord. 2000 mètres. Cible identifiée. Navire de guerre. 2000 mètres. Par à tribord.
Somebody attack him.
Par à tribord. Terminé.
We've been having a good run as this battleship. It sure is going to be something else. But the other thing, I'm going to like Yamato just for custom battles, because that thing has double the heavy anti-air of any other Japanese battleship in game at the moment. As well as just tons and tons of 25mm guns. Yeah, that's been popping up as well within a few circles. That's going to be a lot of fun, because I think we have every single ship in game. I think we have all the ships required to do that kind of event. Because Operation Tango is just Yamato, a Nagano, and then 8 destroyers, which are a mix of Yugumo and Akazuki, as far as I know. So that's just an event you can do now. And we have late war AA Yugumos and we have late war AA Akazukis. Although the late war AA Yugumo is a premium and quite expensive one of that, so... That was French. He did it with the guided bombs, not the Fitzexes. My day has been saved.
Height 1,000 meters.
That would be funny. The IO nuke shell. Although, is that a... Is it a modern Iowa thing, or is it like a actual late World War II Iowa thing? So, right. I kind of have plans to do events, but I still need to get the final results. I need to do the final planning still. I've got a long summer break coming up at the last 2 weeks of July. I would love to do some kind of event during it. Something along the lines of the old screenshot event I did like ages ago. I'd love to do that again. And some other fun custom battles. But I still need to think about the details, and I can only do that really after this next update.
Contrôle des dégâts à vos postes. Recours.
Let's see it. Read point has been decided. Right. That is indeed something I wanted to do, and that is a good shout. That is something I actually do want to do. Yeah.
Par au milieu du navire. Navire de guerre. À l'avant. 6000 mètres.
Yeah, that's something I'm definitely going to consider doing. I think, in general, I really need to get back into the video making stuff, man. I've been out of it. I don't know why. Just a lot of things have been happening the past few months at my work. It took away a lot of my attention and my energy. I think that's why. But having that roundtable conversation in Iron Navy, despite the reputation, that's kind of, I don't know, kind of put the spark back into me to really contribute to a naval community again. Because that was a nice talk. It was nice talking with Commander Terriel again, and actually just talking about naval with a bunch of guys. That's fun, and I do see it enough. There are a lot of people like actually asking, how do I play naval? What do I go for? And it does frustrate me that I don't have easy videos to just point them to. So I really need to get back into making videos. And hi Deutschland. I haven't played that much Lorraine yet actually. I've mainly been playing Britannia. Navy is a bit... It's difficult to describe because they have a few. Oh, because it's difficult to describe because I don't want to be mean about them, but at the same time they kind of don't really realize that they don't have the greatest reputation, at least among some other naval communities. I think the main reason with iNavy's reputation is the reason they play in big squads. They're a really cohesive squadron at certain times, and they will play with really big organized squads, and that just that rubs people wrong doing that kind of stuff. You also have the case where some of the members have a bit of a big ego. Sometimes deservedly so, sometimes most definitely not. But other than that, they're actually just fine. They're all right. It's just they're a little bit of an echo chambery group, I think. I really don't want to talk bad about them because they are a kind of big part of a naval community. It's just that they don't really interact much outside of their own group, from my knowledge. Again, I don't really visit the forums that often. It's not really that. I don't know how to describe it. Maybe. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. It's weird. There are also some personal, quote-unquote, issues me and my friends have with them that I don't really want to get into.
3,000 meters.
It's not really severe or anything like that, but just some stuff that rubbed us the wrong way. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it to myself.
Cessez le feu. Placez les armes et l'équipement.
It's not... To be honest, there is actually a more controversial squadron out there than Nine Navy, and that's HMS. Because those people are completely cracked out of their minds and incredibly dangerous opponents, with some accusations having been thrown their way, and I'm not entirely sure if they're true or not. But Nine Navy is just a bit of a... I don't know. They're competent. They're a competent naval squadron. And they have a little bit of an ego. I think that's really it. Some members of them have a bit of an ego. This one's actually better long range, isn't it? Yeah. Let's not look about her napalm rat. I don't know. It's been a while since I've actually interacted with him. How many daily do I still have? One more battle. Let's do that. I don't want to say the word issue because that's not what it is. I don't have anything personal against the guy, really. I do disagree with how he plays the game, somewhat. Quite a bit. I think one of my issues, so to say, with Napalm is that he doesn't really interact much with the naval community. Maybe deservedly so, because he doesn't have the best reputation and he doesn't really do much to fix that reputation. Maybe because he just simply doesn't care, and that's his right. But that's kind of my feeling about him. He just, for being arguably the biggest naval community like the CC, he doesn't really interact with that community to my knowledge. I don't know if he has a Discord server. I don't know if he has any kind of community that people can talk to him with. Or if he organizes any events, if he... You know, that kind of stuff. Whereas, to be honest, I haven't been doing that too much, but at least I've been streaming weekly. I'm talking to you guys. I try to keep engaged when Gunship asks me to do something, I'll do that. When Tyrael asks me about something, I'll do that. I'm in other Discord servers with naval sections I will actively engage in. I try to be a part of it. And I get a feeling Napalm just doesn't. Again, that's just my feeling. Don't actually know if it's true or not. That's kind of weird because I do like Flammo. I don't play World of Warships. I definitely know of Flammo. And I think I like watching his videos. Though that might be because of my own personal biases against wargaming titles. I think Napalm has quite often openly said he doesn't like naval, but I could be wrong, and I don't want to put words in Napalm's mouth. Set 25 is a very interesting choice in this 6.3 range. Oh, is it actually a down tier? Might be having a good time. And we're on the good side of Norway as well. Perfect. We do need to be on the lookout for enemy battleships. Because the one job of a battleship captain in a down tier is deal with enemy battleships, but it seems that all of them have spawned at a force spawn, so that's not our concern. Absolutely no compression. I don't see anything wrong with this lineup. Or anything. Is it an Omaha? It is an Omaha. I think it's an AI one.
Croiseur léger. Cible identifiée. Croiseur loup. 3, 6, 0. 11 000 mètres. Alerte collision. Navire de guerre. À bâbord. 12 000 mètres. Contrôle des dégâts à vos postes. Recours. Chrono.
But yeah. Lost my bridge and I kind of want it back. Because if I turn quickly, we might come into trouble. Oh yeah, I don't know for what reason, but recently bots have been absolute pests about ramming into ships. And I remember, like, years ago, they were specifically patched to avoid ships and avoid collisions, and they were pretty good at this for quite some time. But it seems that behavior just returned. And I don't really know why. Because there definitely was a time where they were pretty good at avoiding collisions. Actively.
Croiseur léger. À bâbord. 3 000 mètres.
Yep, there we go.
Vaisseau ennemi coulé. L'ennemi gîte et perd de la vitesse.
Nice. Ooh, what is that? Queen Mary?
Croiseur de bataille.
Oh, so now he spawns in and doesn't J out 3 times in his Vega, does he? Well, let's give him a surprise. We kind of actually want to aim for the middle turret, which is actually about on the middle line, isn't it? That center line, a little bit behind it. So let's do just that. That is the same guy that just J'd out 3 times in his Vega a match or 2 ago.
Croiseur lourd. À l'avant. 10 000 mètres.
I think it's really bad. I don't play Naval Arcade, so I'm not affected by it. I haven't fully properly looked into it. I don't have my own experience really with it. But I think it is a change that has markedly made arcade worse.
Croiseur léger.
Well, it seems I didn't need to detonate him.
Barre à bâbord. Barre à bâbord. Terminé.
The as maybe awkward as it sounds, I am actually still planning to make a video summarizing the current update, and it is just, yeah, it's not great. I've actually heard it during the EC roundtable thing with iNavy, that it's also in Arcade EC. I didn't even realize that. That is awful that it's actually a thing.
Attack the enemy!
Moteur en arrière.
But it's not even just that. If the aiming actually worked, if it was just a dumbing down, right, that wouldn't have been that offensive. But it broke so much. It completely busted AI gunners. AI gunners can now fire main battery guns again. AI gunners are 100% accurate, and I believe that's fixed now, but AI gunners used to have infinite accurate range as well, so you'd spawn in an aircraft and get sniped out of spawn. I believe, and also the thing is, you can no longer switch to RB aiming with in arcade. That option just flatly doesn't work. The whole the whole mechanic got implemented so badly, and 3 months on, it is still broken. It's baffling. You know, I have the theory that there must be some guy at Gaijin that every now and then implements a naval change but has absolutely no fucking clue what he's doing. Because there is actually a change similar to it that completely broke, nobody asks for it, completely broke how torpedoes worked, and only got fixed afterwards with another button. And that's now that we actually have a bit of downtime. Controls, weaponry. It's not controls, it's an option, isn't it? Naval battles. It is... Where is it? This one. No, it's not this one. Where is it? This one. So this made it so that you can control your torpedo launcher depending on where your cursor is looking. So let's say on this ship I have left-right torpedo launchers. If I just press the A button to select my torpedo launcher, it would automatically select the torpedo launcher depending on where you're looking. Actually, let me just enable the option to show you. So you see a left torpedo button? Now I have the right one selected automatically. Great, right? Except when you have 2 or more launchers looking at the same direction. And it is incredibly bad when you have actual rotatable torpedo launchers, you know, like destroyers and some cruisers. Because if you have multiple launchers actually looking at the exact same area, it just can't decide which one to launch a torpedo from. And you couldn't properly launch torpedo spreads because of it. Again, it was a change completely unasked for, implemented, and it broke most destroyers. It just broke destroyer torpedoes. Eventually they made it a toggleable option, and that's it. And I'm actually kind of suspecting that the same guy that added that option is responsible for the arcade aiming option. Like, if you told me it was the same guy, I wouldn't be surprised. Even though the two changes are years apart, I wouldn't be surprised. Also, returning to the question from earlier from Astro Magnus, is Bismarck coming after Saxon? I believe it will be. My gut is telling me it'll come after Saxon. I don't have any evidence, but I think so. You know, I'm not that harsh about unrepairable flooding. I actually thought it was a neat system. I think the current system is actually better in terms of making torpedoes more lethal, but I kind of... There were some aspects about the old unrepairable flooding I liked.
The Allied forces have captured a zone.
Also, Phoenix, I'm not that boomer posting about it. I don't think it's going to be worst. You know, the arcade mode, maybe. But I don't think so, because the thing is, that's also not how World of Warships works. You don't aim directly at a ship and just the shells will magically hit. You still have to lead your target. So it's just... Yeah, I think the current system is definitely better than the permanent flooding thing. But I kind of liked having like permanent crippling damage on a ship, as long as it didn't outright kill you, of course. I find it something interesting to play around. Oh, hello. I don't have any sap yet on the secondaries, but HE should do enough. Assist is fine. Where are you going, New Orleans? That's... I don't know, really, if it's the most criticized or if it's just the most... So my personal theory is what happened is... War Thunder Naval, the original trailer came out in, was it 2016? We saw a battleship getting attacked by PT boats, cool stuff, really cool. The first naval beta test happens, alpha tests happen, and then we got the news we are not planning to add battleships. And I think from that first moment, a lot of the big CCs immediately lost interest, started saying that this is not the right thing to do, this is not going to be a great mode, and just left, never to really look back at it. And because of that, they just never really gave it the correct light of day, started shit-talking it, and that just perpetuated until eventually they just stopped talking about Naval, and the meme "nobody plays Naval" came about. I unironically think that the bad reputation Naval has is because of the big CCs when naval alpha tests were happening. I genuinely think it.
Navire. Cible identifié. Navire de guerre.
That and the biggest naval CC currently being incredibly critical about naval as well, with napalm rat.
Navire de guerre. À bâbord. 5000 mètres.
Coastal is pretty fun, yeah, nowadays, Kenneth. Coastal is pretty fun. My original plan for this evening was going to be playing Coastals, but yeah, the leaks and the news that happened this week definitely changed those plans. Because I have battleships to grind. Oh, hello.
Frappe directe. À bâbord. Tout. À bâbord. Tout. Terminé. Cible identifié. Contre-torpilleur.
Just a coastal vessel. Too late.
We don't have the advantage anymore.
Cible identifié. Navire de guerre.
Go to investigate the mountain, I guess. Actually, no. Pop coast to port.
Cible identifiée. Navire de guerre.
Vessel on the B point doesn't have torpedoes, so that's not something I should be worried about. Yep. Oh boy. Got some calculus there. So that's interesting actually. Aerospace is actually going to get on the B point.
Cible identifiée.
Great. Later cruiser. But I've mentioned this in previous streams, but something I've been keeping track of is how many ships I actually have left to unlock in general. And it's currently 29. I only have 29 more ships and I have all factory ships in game. And of those 29 ships, 24 of them are coastal. Actually, are there 20? No. 24 of them are Russian and German. I need 9 German coastals, and I need to double check. I think 8 or 7 Russians. Also Phoenix, I'm very sorry for this, but I'm going to run into the island. Hello, enemy Arethusa. I'm just gonna bounce off this island. In a really unfortunate angle, because I'm just going straight for that one. This will do have a friendly ship's present to capture the point. In against it overhaul. And I got the feeling our teammates are just dancing around the B point because they just can't run into it. It's kill. I'm very sorry, Phoenix. Go. B point is being decapped. Pretty well this much. Said they were ready to fire, even though they just weren't. Closer to target.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
L'ennemi gîte et perd de la vitesse.
80? Mississippi is 80? No, definitely. If you had the choice between getting USS Mississippi or Gneisenau and Sevastopol, no. Mississippi is not worth $80. Like, mainly as well, if you want a ship with its capabilities, that is just Tennessee. Sure, it is a way to get a high rank battleship fairly easily, but that is definitely not worth 80. I'm actually kind of shocked it actually still is 80. And again, those prices don't tend to change too much. Not really. The Tennessee technically does have the better anti-armament because it has the 5-inch 38s, not 5-inch 25s. Whatever the really short ones are. I think AA-wise are pretty much the same. But I would definitely hold off on any kind of battleship purchases at the moment until we get the next dev server. Because if we get BR decompression, everything's going to change in terms of top tier of battleship meta. So I would certainly hold off until we get to see it. Exactly. It's always a bit risky to buy naval stuff around about when an update's going to come out, so I wouldn't recommend it. Just wait and see.
Commencing attack!
Vaisseau ennemi coulé. Cible identifiée. Navire de guerre. Nous avons subi des dégâts. Ennemi touché. Cible touchée par les obus. L'ennemi gîte et perd de la vitesse.
Let's keep the pressure on. Victory is close.
Darn, Britannia's a tall gun sight.
Cible identifiée. 3 heures de bataille.
Position 3, 2, 0. 9000 mètres.
Torpilleur. À bâbord. 3000 mètres.
Well, we're not sure.
Torpilleur.
Because if Arkansas will be a lower BR than... Like, Arkansas is what, 6-7 at the moment?
Navire ennemi en feu.
Let's say that these new battleships decompress to 8.0. 6-7s will be quite valuable when the maximum BR is 8.0. Probably still... But again, we don't know. So, hold off on premium ships. Hold off on buying any kind of battleships until we know what the dev server tells us.
3, 2, 0. 5000 mètres.
Moteur en arrière. Tout. Moteur à l'arrière. Croiseur léger. À bâbord. 4000 mètres. Cible identifiée. Contre-torpilleur. 3, 2, 0. 4000 mètres. Groupe de réparation. Commencez à contrôler les dégâts. En cours. Ah, direct.
Can I get one more pop before game ends? No, as the game ends.
Combat est
Darn.
terminé. Équipage, cessez le feu et préparez-vous à duter.
I mean, yeah, but you, as somebody who is quite proficient with naval, grinding naval events was never a problem. But it is a bit... You can't, you know, grind all the event ships again, so... That is a bit of a shame. Let's get the better AP. And I was going to look at my wish list, because you can track all of your factory ships and use this as well. Yeah, I just need 29 more ships, and I have all ships. Now, when it comes to coastal, however, let's go to Germany. That's still a lot. Still a lot of coastals. So when I go to Russia, I need 7 more coastals for Russia and 9 more for Germany. So of the 29 ships, 16 of them are 2 coastal trees. Because my American tree is fully completed, my Russian tree is 4 plus 7 is 13, is 11. I can't do maths. My German tree is 9 plus 3, that is 12. So yeah, of the 29 ships, if I do the math correctly, 23 of them are German and Russian. Britain is only needs 1 more. Japan is complete. Italy needs 4 more. France needs 1 more. So yeah, almost there. Anyways, that's all my daily bonus matches. Although they're coming back in an hour and 30. But I'm not going to be streaming for that long. How far are we in our sailing process? Not an awful lot. Because I'm actually inclined... We can still play 6-3 actually. We'll just stick with 6-3, but I'll just do my Russians. With 4 more matches. Poltava with 2 cruiser backups. Yeah, that'll be the plan. And immediate get midway. Yeah, the fair miles are not great. Oop, let's take reduced ammo. Because it matters. Let's just start off and some reduced secondaries.
Корабль к бою и походу приготовить. Угроза столкновения.
Yeah, I don't have Russian 6-7 though. Not yet. Actually. Oh, I do, technically.
Право руля.
Kinda don't want to do that because I want to spade my cruisers too. Although... What's gonna happen, is it? Yeah, we can do 6-7 after this match. I'll just play a full Russian 6-7 lineup. I think I still need to crew those ships though. And he disappeared, was replaced by a player. Lovely.
Легкий крейсер.
Firing at a cruiser this time. Germany 5-7 is pretty good beyond. I think that's actually also one of them. I think 5-7 in general is a really solid cruiser lineup for most nations. Germany has a really good lineup. Japan has a really good lineup to 5-7. Italy has a really good 5-7 lineup. Britain... Actually, nowadays a pretty good 5-7 lineup. Glorious and Invincible above 5-7. As well as HMS Tiger, all of their heavy cruisers. Yeah, 5-7 you get Crash Bay Hipper and the fast firing light cruiser. Very inviting target. Mainly because he's showing more broadside than the German dreadnought. Yeah, it's also arguably the more dangerous ship. So let's shoot it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Kind of strange it's a fire and secondary turret on the other side of the ship. But alright. Not shooting me. Cruiser, it's nice, it's fine. Yeah, I think these Yamashiro actually are going to be a large target. Cruisers, but that's just a bit too dangerous. Oh, that is AI's path nowadays. It's straight to the side of me. To repair anything, so I must hold off. They are. They really are. I would like to see Musashi in the 41 config. Lenny, in case you're not familiar with what the difference is with Shinano, okay, that's dangerous. Oh, but that thing's not going down great. But I believe the main difference would be with Shinano is that her long-range anti-air guns would be 100 mil guns. Don't like back. And having like 12 100mm guns on either side of the ship would be really good heavy anti-air. Yeah, we'll get into 6 seconds after this match. Fires with stuff bears. I am. I don't know. I actually don't know about that. To my knowledge, it's only just the replacement of the 127s with 100s. Vaguely similar to front turrets. One of the turrets wasn't quite aligned. This one will. That is another thing, by the way, for this upcoming update with all those really big advanced battleships. Expect one or two of them, or maybe even all of them, to have some kind of critical bug. I highly suspect something is going to be broken next update. Hopefully just with the ships and not just game mode whole, game mode wide, but yeah, I expect some scuffed ships, I think. There we go, shell detonation in the front turret. Yeah, pretty much. What I said that's happening is if you get the last hit, you will now get the kill credit. So if somebody was already sinking or somebody was just about to get detonated, because you hit them last, that detonation is now counted towards you for some reason. If they're like detonating from a fire set aboard them. That's really weird. And it really shouldn't be happening. But it is.
Цель. Легкий крейсер.
Вперед. 360. Дистанция 4000.
Цель. Линкор.
Вперед. 360. Дистанция 5000. Есть попадание.
Well, the thing is, they already kind of do. The damage you do to a target does, you know, change your reward. You know, when the target does go down.
Избавляет ход. Наблюдаю крен и дифферент.
It just seems that for the moment the kill credit is a little bit bugged. Usually it works just fine, but yeah. Nowadays it's a bit buggy again.
Имеем серьезные повреждения. Попадание.
I can't really penetrate this angle. Nassau? It is. So if you can't penetrate the armored belt, aim higher and go for the turrets.
Есть поражение. Внимание! Имеем серьезные повреждения. Есть поражение. Перелет!
Our victory is near.
Есть попадание.
Линкор! Спереди! Дистанция!
We'll just keep
Есть поражение.
shooting this Nassau until it sinks. It'll just a bit of a waste of my time, but somebody has to do it.
Внимание! Имеем серьезные повреждения.
Цель! Линейный крейсер!
Беринг 360. Дистанция 9000.
I'm a little bit curious as to why he's just not repairing. Is that or he just doesn't have a chance to repair? With all the damage heading his way, all the fires being set?
Наблюдаю пожары.
Eventually I'll sink him.
Внимание! Имеем серьезные повреждения. Недолет.
Слева! Дистанция 10 тысяч!
Перелет. Есть попадание.
Going to show a bit more broadside. Might be a mistake on his end.
Попадание.
Линейный крейсер! Спереди! Дистанция 8 тысяч!
Внимание! Имеем серьезные повреждения.
I really like seeing my air guns open up, and what on earth is that? 288, okay.
Самый полный!
Есть поражение.
Didn't bring it straight for me.
Право на борт! Руль право на борт! Стоп машины! Прямо руль!
This Nassau has been particularly tough to take down.
Есть накрытие. Попадание.
I think now I'll just switch.
Легкий крейсер!
Let's just can I get below 10%?
360. Дистанция 7000.
Okay, that's how we brought him below 10%. We will just switch it. Fire
Легкий
now.
крейсер!
Беринг
Yeah,
360.
just get this just
Дистанция
after
6000.
it finally blows up. Eh, worst match for Philip.
Есть поражение. Есть накрытие.
Линейный крейсер! Слева! Дистанция 7000!
Перелет. Есть попадание.
I non-penned with 12-inch AP like that? Really? Okay. Might have just bounced over his
Верен,
turret
360.
roofs.
Дистанция
Because that's what it looked like to me.
Внимание! Имеем
It's
серьезные
surprising.
повреждения.
Линкор! Впереди! Дистанция 11 000.
Самый полный.
Let's get our guns back outside again.
And victory will be ours.
I'm not entirely sure actually. This is
Лево на борт.
the first Russian battleship I've actually properly played.
Цель уничтожена.
Прямо руль.
And I believe because these are like early Dreadnought 12-inch guns, what are they exactly? They're 12-inch... Oh, they're 52s. They're actually pretty long guns, okay. I need a bit more experience with these guns. Can't quite tell you if they're good or bad 12-inch guns.
Лево руля.
And whether or not the AP on them is good. At the moment it doesn't feel great. But it's not terrible either.
Линейный крейсер! Спереди! Дистанция 6000.
I think I'm also just not used to the punching power of 12-inch guns.
Линейный крейсер.
I've been playing a lot of bigger capital ships. With 14 or 15-inch guns.
Внимание! Имеем серьезные повреждения.
Право на борт.
Легкий крейсер! Слева! Дистанция 3000.
Цель. Легкий крейсер.
Okay, match done.
Отбой боевой тревоги.
And I think I've got time for, well, energy for one more. Needs backup vehicles. And let's actually equip a 6-7 lineup. Doesn't mean I have to find and crew these ships, that's fine. Now to, of course, get the qualifications on them. I literally need half a level more. There we go. And now I'm lacking a soul. Yeah, I've actually never played these ships. This is going to be interesting. I mean, if you're power grinding top tier battleships like this, you do never have enough SL. And with the next update coming up, I need to get back to healthy SL counts. Probably just to play a few Frank Knox matches, really. Okay, we're ready. Let's get going. New Zealand Cape. Not a terrible map. Again, let's just take half ammo, see how far we can get. And let's first spot Maria.
По местам стоять.
Угроза столкновения.
Право на борт.
Руль право на борту.
I completely forgot to switch to AP research, didn't I? For both Cumina and Maria. Oh well. So a little bit of a wasted first match. But RP is RP. Oh. Oh no.
Прямо руль.
Yeah.
Машины назад.
I think ideally somebody actually has to push that cruiser. And just, like, get him out of there.
Легкий крейсер. Слева. Дистанция 14 000.
sure if the prow of the Maria is able to do that meaningfully. Because the problem is, it's like the center of the two ships are on top of each other as well. If it was offset, one of them would just slide off the other, but because it's center mounted, it's yeah, that is cursed. Yeah, that's probably the only way to deal with that.
Угроза столкновения.
Sadly. I need to spawn immediately behind it again. This time we should be able to just move through it, kind of. That is a flaw of map design. Not having enough individual spawn points for all the ships. Yeah, that might actually be a good change. I'm gonna be stuck on a player like that. Let's wait for lead calculation. Can you reverse level? Well, the thing is, right, with these exactly what anti-ship missile are they? Because I want you to know something, and that is that the 1-ton long lance, the long lance on the Akazuki, does 0 damage if it hits the main armored belt of a battleship. Because it just doesn't penetrate it. I'm not entirely sure if that's actually still the case with the hydrostatic shock thing. It's not that long lances don't work. It is that a 1 meter depth torpedo with 1 ton of TNT does not penetrate the main armored belt of a battleship. I think at most 1 ton of TNT equivalent has 200-ish millimeters of pen. And with the weird way the torpedoes work is they need to penetrate first before doing any damage. So if it doesn't defeat the armor it hits, even really big high explosive charges just don't do any damage. Like the reason we have 4 meter depth is because that will hit underneath the main armored belt. So then, because it has to penetrate the thinner belt, it will actually do its damage. Yeah, I know, but that is just how this game works. So if Wikipedia is right, and the warhead is 454 kilograms of TNT, battleships might just be immune to that. The best way to look this up, by the way, is look at bombs, like aircraft bombs, because they have an actual stat saying how much armor they can pen with their payload. So So you just do that, equate it to torpedo kilogram like weights, and you'll have your answer.
Лево руля.
Влево. Легкий крейсер. Слева. Дистанция 13 тысяч.
Право на борт.
Руль право на борту.
Машины назад.
Противник сбавляет ход.
So 454 kilograms of TNT, I'll remember that. And we'll look in the hangar after the battle, and we'll look for a bomb with a similar TNT load. Actually, I think the Japanese 800 kilo bomb is close-ish in TNT load. Yep.
Цель.
Salvo?
Линкор.
Right.
260. Дистанция 8000. Имеем повреждение.
Есть попадание. Цель. Легкий крейсер.
Well, the thing is, to make torpedoes like properly do damage, you'd have to model
Стоп, машины.
hull plates warping, and I just don't think that's possible with how this game works.
Прямо руль.
It would also completely change how high explosive in general works,
Попадание.
and that's just not something worth their naval needs.
Противник сбавляет ход. Наблюдаю крен и дифферент.
Oh, it's that ship. I can see it forming. I believe plates still deteriorated logo. I'm actually not sure because you can't see it in the X-ray anymore, but I believe that's still a thing. That armor plates deteriorate, but you still need penetrations to actually deteriorate armor plates. I don't think they actually deteriorate from high explosive splash all that much.
Линкор. Слева. Дистанция 11 тысяч.
Есть поражение.
Oof, there goes the front shoulder on the left, Mississippi.
Цель. Линкор.
I really like some cruisers to chew up in my HE.
Цель. Легкий крейсер.
Вперед.
They're all a bit far away.
Дистанция 11000.
Just a little more effort, and victory will surely be ours.
Противник сбавляет ход. Наблюдаю крен и дифферент. Имеем повреждение.
Легкий крейсер. Слева. Дистанция 10 тысяч.
Is it
Угроза
Torpedo Yamashiro?
столкновения.
Лево на борт.
Руль лево на борту.
That's something I've never really understand because, yes, don't use cover, fight me like a man, even though you are losing and he's just using cover.
Стоп, машины. Аварийные трюмные группы. Приступить к борьбе за живучесть.
Yeah, that Mississippi is not doing great.
Прямо руль.
Руль прямо.
Mississippi is also flooding in a way where he can't bring his guns to bear to any of the other threats.
Дистанция
So,
Цель горит.
big oof for him. We immediately lost to Alaska there because he's broadsiding people instead of just using his guns at range.
Есть попадание.
Attack the enemy. Keep it up, and victory will be ours.
It seems I might actually be able to just do the unsinkability mechanic and sink the Mississippi. Look. There's the Yamashiro again. liking.
Попадание.
And there he goes. Mississippi sink from unsinkability.
Стоп,
Or should be.
Цель. Линкор.
Вперед. 208. Дистанция 6.
Пробуй лево до борта.
Oh, that is sink Mississippi.
Прямо руль. Цель. Линейный крейсер.
Вперед. 260. Дистанция 6000.
Линкор. Слева. Дистанция.
Probably should deal with the Scharnhorst at some point.
Право руля.
Slash, actually, sure. Let's be damned.
Есть поражение.
And do absolutely nothing because I'm only firing at you.
Линкор. Дистанция 11 тысяч.
Лево на борт.
Personally, nay, because I think they're a bit too niche.
Victory is close.
I'm also not entirely sure what you do with monitors. I think the most famous ones, of course, are the British ones of the
Право на борт.
what are the Lord Clydes or the Lord Nelsons, whatever they're called. The ones with a single 18-inch gun on the front. I just don't know what you'd do with those ships. Are they... what BR would you give them? Are they blue water? Coastal? Probably coastal. But then... they just don't fit.
Линкор.
But that's just me. If we do ever see them, I won't complain. I just don't particularly feel a need for them.
Противник сбавляет ход. Наблюдаю крен и дифференц.
Линкор. Дистанция 13 тысяч.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
I don't think it'll really matter too much with the new battleships.
Excellent.
Because I said this earlier in the stream as well, it's not going to break anything. At worst, naval will just stay the same. Just with larger battleships. I get the feeling that the Eastern Brick guy is the one you detonated? Yeah.
Есть накрытие. Угроза столкновения.
The thing is, yes, theoretically speaking, both Sevastopol and Gneisenau with 15-inch guns are actually paper ships,
Крейсер.
but at the same time,
208. Дистанция 8000. Имеем повреждение.
at the same time, what was I going to say? Both of these ships would have existed if not by outside interference. So,
Есть попадание.
I mean, yeah, the Germans had the guns and the Russians would have gotten it if things didn't come through, which arguably isn't even... The outside interference is their supplier not going to supply them, so... meh. It shouldn't be because they're the exact same guns and they should carry the exact same ammo.
Имеем повреждения.
Легкий крейсер. Слева. Дистанция 8000.
I do also want to reiterate, these are not the first ships with hypothetical fits.
Наблюдаю криальный дифферент.
And if anything, they are realistic in the sense that these ships would have existed. Like, these plans were actually real. And if that's too unrealistic for you, well, that's you.
Есть поражение.
Линейный крейсер. Слева. Дистанция 7000.
Цель. Линейный крейсер.
Вперед. 260. Дистанция 9.
Just gonna slip behind on this bit before I reload.
Машины назад.
Есть попадание. Противник сбавляет ход. Наблюдаю криальный дифферент.
Приступить к борьбе за живучесть. Стоп, машины.
Линкор. Слева. Дистанция 8000.
Цель. Легкий крейсер.
Дистанция 9. Угроза столкновения! Есть поражение!
3,000 damage and 6 assists. Boy.
Противник сбавляет ход. Наблюдаю криальный дифферент.
Trying to move to the B point,
Лево
maybe?
на борт.
Руль лево на борту.
As much moving again.
Есть попадание.
I don't trust that lead indicator at all, so I'm just gonna ignore it. I shouldn't have. This wasn't quite up to speed yet.
Дистанция 10000.
Oh, Alaska is staring at me. That's gonna be a problem.
Цель. Линкор.
Alaska is no longer a problem. It is no longer a problem. For me.
Attack the enemy.
Цель. Бомбардировщик.
260. Дистанция 7000.
Цель. Линейный крейсер.
260. Дистанция 5000.
Really wish I had AP right now.
Легкий крейсер.
Don't.
260. Дистанция 6000.
Трюмной группе осушить
Deal with
отсеки.
it.
Прямо руль.
Okay, so we detonated one of the shell rooms. Great. Probably the Yamashita.
Слева. Дистанция 11000.
Listen, really good port firing marks today. Port firing marks. Quite good enough to angle in towards the B point and keep 3 turrets firing, but a bit too good with it.
Цель. Линейный крейсер.
260. Дистанция
Линкор. Впереди. Дистанция 9000.
Somebody attack him.
Цель. Линейный крейсер.
240. Дистанция 60.
actually shows me enough side for me to hit his compartments.
Attention to the map.
In this situation, what I'm going for is knocking out gun barrels, knocking out AA and secondaries, and in this case, with his critically damaged compartments, knocking out his compartments to trigger the floodability or unsinkability mechanic.
Аварийной группе ликвидировать пожар. Лево на
Also, because it's a battlecruiser I'm firing at, my HE might actually be potent enough to just blast holes into his sides, like what's seemingly happened. And yeah, just in general be a bit annoying. Keep him distracted, also there are people shooting him as well. Sharnor's going to be a major problem because he has torpedoes. Like, yeah. Probably, but that is a good thing that it's more difficult, so... It shouldn't be the easy thing to do. I will say, if I had AP, I would have killed him. I would have killed his Alaska already if I had AP. Okay, torpedoes are gonna come out. Yep, there they go. Torpedoes on the way. I need to make a course adjustment. They just don't have the engine power. So, this is going to be the end of my ship.
ликвидировать пожар.
Yeah. I'm just going to take him on the bow. That's all I can do, really. I didn't equip torpedoes, did I? Darn. Could have given that the Sharm should taste of his own medicine. Please don't hit the magazine. They did absolutely nothing because the Sharn is launching them at a 1 meter depth. Yeah. We're good. We're fine. There's a great fortune. Okay, those are doing stuff. And now I've lost my unsinkability. Maybe the other ones don't do anything. Does angle matter for torpedoes?
Стоп машины.
Surely not.
Attack the enemy!
Surely it wouldn't be angle that matters, would it?
Покинуть корабль.
Messed up. So I've heard this as well, that in EC the HUD is broken after a certain time limit. Yeah, I think normal naval has a problem as well.
Право руля.
Sadly, I don't think this match is actually winnable anymore. It's just something that I've heard from the iNavy guys. But I think it's just a naval thing in general and not EC specific. Just couldn't really quite bring it up to that.
Попадание. Лево руля.
Влево.
Like you see that fire just spazzing out all over the model? Yeah, it's that UI bug as well.
Угроза столкновения.
I don't really know how slow these Russian dreadnoughts were. Again, I'm still stock, so things can change.
Боевая тревога.
is not something they will ever fix, because they have explicitly stated that the reload for the American standard is a balancing decision and not a historical one. So there's nothing to fix because it isn't a bug. If you wanted to change, you should make a suggestion, not a bug fix request. Yeah, but I know, sure, balance my ass, but the thing is, people have been bug reporting it, but it isn't a bug, it's an intended thing. If you want to change, it should be a formal suggestion. And that is a different kind of forum post. Or just a different, way about doing things. Alaska's incredibly aggressive for how low his floatability is.
Дистанция 10 тысяч.
Противник слабляет зону. Наблюдаю крен и дифферент.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, Rodney is already a potent battleship. I don't think it needs that kind of payload weight.
Право на борт.
Руль право на борту.
Прямо руль.
The Alaska should be sinking now, shouldn't it?
Противник слабляет зону.
Wait and see.
Наблюдаю крен и дифферент.
Цель. Линейный крейсер.
Дистанция 3000. Торпедоносец. Справа.
We need one more kill. We need two more kills, so one more after the Alaska.
Цель уничтожена.
Лево на борт.
Wait, hold. Time zone was gonna run out. We're winning on tickets. Yeah, that's also part of the UI bug. We're winning on tickets despite losing on caps. Okay.
Боевой тревоги дробь. Чаю на главный командный пост.
That's wild. Okay. But I am not complaining. Good chunk of RP. But I think I'm actually going to leave it at that for tonight, as somehow my exhaustion is catching up to me. So yeah, I've got lots of stuff still to do. First and foremost, actually, let's swap my research to AP and not parts. Yeah. And yeah, there's just a lot happened this week. I'm assuming a lot more will happen next week. And hopefully, with a bit of good luck, next week will be dev server time, where we can see all these new ships in closer detail. At least, hopefully, they'll actually be there on the first dev server. So, as usual, thank you all for coming to watch, and I will hopefully see you next week on the dev server.